I booked over 113 calls in 30 days using cold email. For those who are doubting me, here is a live dashboard over 260 opportunities that we have gotten using cold email. And cold email is hands down the most effective way to scale your lead generation. It's something that I've personally used for the last 10 plus years. And in this video, I'm going to reveal my exact process that you can steal step by step, that you can start implementing inside of your business to book hundreds of sales calls as well. And I've tried hundreds of different cold email campaigns, different angles, and this by far is the best framework that I've implemented to get results like this. Let's get into the foundation of how to create the perfect campaign. So the foundation really is to know your customer. I see a lot of people when they're starting to use cold email, they think that, wow, I can just blast cold email to anybody with a pulse and all of a sudden I'm going to get results. The problem is that does not work in today's day and age, okay? People are more savvy. We're competing with more and more people who are sending cold emails. And if we just blast it and make it generic, what's going to happen? You're going to end up in spam folder. The foundation of actually getting results for your cold email campaigns and actually getting results while using cold email is to make sure you have a solid understanding of your customer. And I like to use this as the foundation because the foundation is really something that we can pull from throughout our campaign. The foundation will be the crutch of how we're going to implement cold email for our business. What do we need to know when it comes to the foundation? We need to know who is it that we're working with, specific client avatar, real estate agents with 5+ star reviews, online coaches doing more than $100,000 a month, HR managers of software companies that do more than $5 million a year. We need to be really specific of who we work with. After we identify who it is that we're working with, what we need to understand is the pain points. And when I think of pain points for customers, I need to think of the pain point that is something that they're aware of, and then something that is financially driven. The reason we want something that they're aware of, basically what we call it's problem aware. We want to call out pains that our clients, our home service companies doing $1 million plus in revenue are very problem aware of. So for example, these could be not getting enough leads, perhaps. This could be not booking enough calls. This could be sales team isn't busy. This could be no one trusts you. We want to get really clear on this. And I mean, we can use our brain power, but what I like to do is I actually like to use ChatGPT for this. I work with home service companies, $1 million plus in revenue. Their pain is rewrite these using their terminology and add any that I missed. Make them polarizing and hit deep and make sure they're pain points that the customers are aware of themselves. We're going to use this for marketing. Now we have the foundation of the pain points, which we're going to use later on as angles, as pain point angles. So the phone isn't ringing like it used to and you're wondering why your leads have dried up. Could have just said, oh, you're not getting leads. But now this actually speaks to them and is speaking their language, which is important, meaning this is the foundational stuff that's going to help us get responses and make the perfect campaign at the end of the day. What we also want to know is what is their desired outcome? What we can do now is knowing these pain points, what are the desired outcomes of my customers? Speak their language, please. So what I would do is I would have a doc like this and store it somewhere safe. Notion's a great way to do this. Google Doc, your notes section, whatever it could be, because this is going to be what you're always going to point back to in any of your marketing, especially cold email. Maybe you'd create some case studies. Like I'd want to list out case studies plus wins, guarantee. You can kind of create your own. It can be satisfaction. It can be results driven, really up to your offer and what that does. So maybe we can just ask ChatGPT real quick on this. So these are some things that you can test or play with, but make sure you can actually fulfill on it. Some guarantee examples. USP. So this is unique selling proposition. As buyers become more and more savvy, it's going to be trickier to get their attention. The best way to get their attention is to present something unique, like a unique mechanism, like a unique way to get them to their desired outcome using what you have. Because what's going to pique their interest is something unique, something different, because they're probably getting bombarded with people just like you. And a unique selling proposition is something that allows you to stand out and piques the interest of the customer. So now we have a few different unique selling propositions, unique mechanisms that we can then market to catch their attention. And this is really the foundation that before we do any campaigns, before we do any marketing, we need to know this. Once we have the foundation really dialed in, now we can move to the winning campaign framework. So the first part of the winning campaign framework is the list in campaign infrastructure. What I see a ton of people do is they'll get this random list and they'll create this huge list. They'll blast the same email copy to this one big list because it's such a broad list, such a generic list. Your results are minimal. So what we really need to focus on as part of the infrastructure is the list that we're building and how we're structuring our campaigns. Let's just say I'm going after home service companies doing $1 million a year in revenue. So what I can do is I can use a tool like Instantly's Lead Finder. I can go to industry and keywords. Let's just do plumbing, HVAC, roofing. This may be what my large list would look like. So how I could dwindle this down is I could just find roofers. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a campaign just for roofers. What I would do is I would go to campaigns, create a new campaign, and I would call this roofing campaign founders. Then I would import the list of leads from Lead Finder of the roofer founders, and that would be an angle. Another way that we could do this, we could do it based off of location. So I want people in California only, and I want all home service in California. Then what I could do is I could create another campaign, home service California. And what this allows us to do from an infrastructure perspective is we can create different angles for each campaign. So I'd rather have 10 different campaigns with 10 different angles than one campaign with a list of 100,000 people inside of that campaign. So the more specific we can get with our list building, the more targeted that we can get with our campaign copy and speaking to them and being creative inside of the copy, and the more likely we are going to actually get responses. Other angles that you could do is you could literally go to like trade shows, like you can build your own list. You can get really creative with the list building campaigns, but before we launch, we want to make sure that we have specific lists in multiple campaigns built out. The lists are where the gold is. So we need to make sure the list that we're building is extremely targeted and we can get creative with how we're marketing to them and the angle that we're actually using so the copy actually makes sense to them. If you are working with home service companies, you send the same message to plumbers, to roofers, to deck contractors, the message isn't going to stick. We need to make sure our messaging is targeted, and how we do that is make sure our list and campaign infrastructure is set up appropriately. The next thing that we're going to talk about after we've built out the multiple campaigns is going to be the subject line. So think of the subject line as your first impression. So what I see a lot of people try to do is they try to sell in the subject line. If I'm a CEO of a company, a founder of a company, and I see somebody trying to sell in the subject line, I might think, oh, this is an email blast and this is a sales email. And immediately what's going to happen is it's going to go into the spam folder, it's going to go into the junk folder, I'm going to just press delete. Our goal as cold email marketers using cold email is to not seem like we're selling in the email. We basically want the subject line to appear like it's not a cold email. How could I appear that it's not like a cold email? Call it their first name, thoughts, first name, hi, first name. What we want it to seem like is that it's a colleague, a friend, somebody sending them an email, a personalized email, just short, simple, to the point, will increase the likelihood of your clients actually opening up the email. So once we have the subject line dialed in, the next part of it is the personalized line. Going back to my last point about the subject line, we want to make this seem like it's not a cold email. And if we are doing our part, we have our foundation with really good copy, really good pain points. We have a really good list of targeted people that we can speak to the specific person. We can write and create really good personalized lines that actually make it feel like it's not a cold email. One way to do that is if I go to leads, let's just pull up the lead finder. Let's just say I have this list of roofers. What I can do is I can just select 25 of them. I can add them to my campaign, roofing campaign, add a campaign. Then what will pop up is I can go into my roofing campaign. I can pop it open. Leads will show up. And what you'll also notice is that they're going to go through the verification queue to make sure that these leads are actually legit, the emails are actually valid. What we can also do is we can begin to create personalized lines by something from the list that we're building. What we could do is we could basically click right here on the AI prompts. So because this is like California, I could create like a personalized question based off of the location. So output column, generate test output. And what I can do is I can scroll through all of these prompts. I can create my own templates based off of what would be applicable for me. And I can start to use different AI prompts, ChatGPT prompts, to create personalized lines for these customers. And you can get really creative with this too. Like you can find the competitors, you can give a compliment based off of the profile, you can ask a question based off of the location they're at. These are things that we need to test and figure out what is going to work. But without a personalized line, the likelihood of it seeming like it's a actual non-cold email is going to be significantly lower. In addition, like if we are really specific with our lists, we can get even more specific with a personalized line. Like I could make something specific for California and I can add it as a personalized line manually. And I could just drag it for everybody, or I could create multiple different ones and I could create spin tacks from that. There's a lot of different ways that I can start to create a personalized line and use that inside of the email. After we have our personalized lines decided on, what we can also do is we can add in different variants. So this could be like personalized line 1, personalized line 2, personalized line 3, maybe personalized line 3 3 is like some tips. Maybe this is a question based off of the location. Maybe this is calling out a competitor. So we can get really creative again with the personalized lines and test them out through different variants inside of the Instantly tool, which allows us to test multiple things and actually figure out what works well. Next thing that we want to do is we want to write really good body. So if you remember, we already created really good foundation with really good copy. At this point, all we really need to do is pull specific copy to formulate an email that actually works extremely well. So when it comes to the anatomy of a good cold email is basically we have hi first name, intro, personalized line, which we just talked about. We value prop for target niche so they can target niche goal. We just case studied, basically guarantee CTA. So I'm just going to write the body. What we could do is we could literally just go back to ChatGPT, which we started with. So this is a great start. So this would be the body here. Let's actually add one of our guarantees using our full calendar formula specifically for roofers like you. Well, let's get more specific. We just helped John's Roofing increase their book jobs by 40% in less than 90 days. If you're tired of wasting money on marketing that doesn't deliver and want a proven system that brings in predictable leads, let's talk. I'm going to just delete this. So this is pulling from us speaking the language of the customers. We have the personalized lines in the body. So what we're doing here, hey, we help you create the desired outcomes that is speaking their language so that they can achieve the desired outcome without the pain points using our full calendar formula, which is our unique mechanism specifically for roofing contractors just like you. We want the person to read it and be like, wow, I feel understood. This email was meant for me. So that's basically the body. We value prop for target niche so they can target niche goal using USP. We just case study. Okay, so now I'm actually going to remove this. I'm going to move the cliffhanger down a little bit on this one, but what is next is also equally important, which is going to be the call to action. So the call to action, basically what we want to lead with is not, can we book a call tomorrow? Just had a spot open up tomorrow for a call. Are you free at that time? It's like, no, that's not what we're trying to do when it comes to cold email. We're trying to get a list of contacts to raise their hand. Think of it as like Facebook advertising, billboard advertising, magazine, TV advertising. What are we trying to do? We're trying to market to the masses and find the people to raise their hand. And how we're going to get them to raise their hand is through good creative. And the creative, when it pertains to cold email, is going to be your copywriting skills. It's going to be the influence through there. What would be a call to action here? Wouldn't be a book call. It would be adding value of some sort. I just shot a personalized video on how company name could do this. Is this the right place to drop it? Basically, for the call to action, we're trying to get them to raise their hand and we're trying to find interest in what we have to do. And this would be a variation that we test. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to create a variant. Now I'm going to use a different personalized line, perhaps use different desired outcomes. I'm going to use a different case study. I'm going to use a different call to action. Then I'm going to do it again. Another thing that you can do is you actually use Instantly to write your own sequence. Roofing leads. We help roofers get more leads. So we could literally just go back to our foundation. We helped John's Roofing add 10 new jobs per week. And then what will populate is a cold email sequence that we could use. Next is the follow-ups. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we have multiple steps here. So if we created a first sequence, perfect, added our different variations that we implemented. So now what we can do is we want to add in more steps. So what I like to do, follow up on my email, I would just change the call to action. Are you the right person to drop the video about our full calendar formula, and then do another variation. So call to action is we're still trying to add value. Okay. And then another one 2 days later. And then what I like to do also is like a 14-day email. From like the follow-ups, you can incorporate scarcity. You can incorporate the volume of follow-ups just to get the yes or no. You can try to continue to add value. I like the scarcity approach as well as continue to follow up and add value. For example, scarcity. Thought of you again, wanted to connect. We can only take one roofer for zip code and thought you would want it. Should I reach out to competitor or would you be up for a convo on getting more booked roofing jobs? Cheers. Same thing. That's like more of the scarcity approach. Follow up, value, scarcity. 14 days later, could do another 14 days. You could do something like last check-in about getting you new booked calls. Can you let me know? A, I'm retired. B, I am interested in getting more booked calls. Send me more info. C, I am not interested in getting more booked roofing jobs. D, I am no longer in business. You could do something like funny too if you wanted to. Stop bugging you. So this would be like the last email that we would send. But we're making sure that we have a substantial amount of follow-ups going out inside of the campaigns, because that's how you're actually going to get responses, is the follow-up. It's a volume game. 3 to 5, if not more, depending on how you want to go about it, would be sufficient for you. The other thing on the follow-ups, which is really cool, is when somebody responds, what we can do inside of Instantly is we can use the CRM, and we can go to opportunities, and we can find everybody who's interested. And then everybody who's interested, what I'm going to make sure is that I'm following up diligently every 24 hours with everybody that is interested until I can book them on a call. Because right now, we just got a cold prospect to a warm prospect, and then to get the warm prospect to a booked call will require follow-up via email, pick up the phone and call them, text follow-up, find on a different channel, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, wherever your client is. Rinse and repeat every 24 hours until you get a response. That is the key for the positive reply protocol, which I could talk about another time. So that is the winning campaign formula. Just for as far as like expectations go, please note that this is heavily dependent on several factors: your offer, copy, list, domains, emails, so much more. But what I like to aim for is, and I'm giving broad numbers here, a 2 to 10% reply rate. 30 to 50% of the replies are going to be positive. 20 to 30 lead to booking ratio on positive replies. So people who raise their hand, we should get 20 to 30% to actually book a call, and a 25% close rate for our sales team. So with these numbers, we should, one, say, wow, I need to send a lot more emails than I think I should, because volume is going to be king here. But from an example outcome perspective, we sent 25,000 emails and we got 750 replies. That's 3%. So on the lower end of the reply rate, 300 would be positive replies, because that'd be about 40% of positive replies. From there, we should be able to book 75 booked calls per month. And then from there, with 25% close rate, would be 19 deals from a campaign like this. Start testing out different campaigns, different angles, different lists, and then test out different variables based off of the things that we were testing, like the personalized lines. So if you want to try out the software that is solely responsible for all of the calls that I showed you and how you can implement exactly what we just went over, just go ahead and click the link down in the description. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, before you start sending cold emails, you need to make sure you have a highly targeted leads list that you can send the emails to. And that's why I made this video right here that shows you exactly how to find thousands of ideal customers in lead lists quickly. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.